Hello. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tasha aka Misskiff, and if this is your first time on my channel, welcome, and if you're already subscribed, welcome back. So in today's video I would like to talk about how I live in a micro camper van full-time in the city. Yes, I've been living full-time in my van for the last 7 months, officially yesterday. And I just wanted to talk about my experience and how do I actually live in the van, because so many people have asked me, oh, but you live in a micro camper van, like, is it difficult? Do you still enjoy it? And the answer is yes, I actually love it. Obviously it comes with its pros and cons like anything else in life, but this is going to be a video especially for micro camper van living and also in the city. Now, if you want to know more about my van life and things like that, look at my channel. You'll see loads of playlists. I have a van tour, but I'll have another one coming up soon. And yeah, let's get into this video. So my van is a 2002 Vauxhall Vivaro. It has done 150,000 miles ish, and it's amazing. It's a fixed bed, okay, a single bed, as I didn't know how to build a bed, and I needed a bed that was fixed because I didn't know how to make slats. Originally I wanted slats in the van. It has a 100 amp hour leisure battery with solar power. It's not hooked up to my main battery, which will need an alternator. I don't have that. I've only got my overhead storage at the moment. I do not have a kitchen set up yet. I'll be building that fairly soon. And yeah, at the moment I've just got some plastic drawers, and I have no ventilation, which has obviously proven a problem, but we'll go into all the nitty-gritties. I currently buy electrical system. This is the first topic. How do I manage with so little electricity? So I only got electricity in my van about a couple of months ago, to be honest, 2 to 3 months ago. I built my van bit by bit. I was living in my van when it had nothing in it, up till now, where I've got, slowly but surely, it's getting built into a little home. Electrics. I technically, at this stage, what I've realized is that the more power you have, obviously the better, but I have been living absolutely perfectly fine with a 250 watt solar panel hooked up to an MPPT, feeding off my leisure battery, and that setup only cost like 150 pounds, and then the battery about 300 pounds ish, about 300-400 pounds, and that setup's really good for me. I can charge my iPad. Most of my lights is USB powered. What's it called, the cigarette lighter input that needs actually changing because something's wrong with it, but that will eventually power my fridge. But it's been so cold, I don't need a fridge. Live with a 300 watt inverter that I can plug in with my laptop when I drive it to charge it, or I could just, but to be honest with you, electric wise, I've never gone below 50% on my leisure battery, and you actually, when you live in a micro camper, you lose less electricity than what you think. It depends on your lifestyle, okay? I have, my rule of thumb is just try to get everything USB powered. Then I know that is the best voltage that I can have at longer capacities. If I have, for instance, 2 days with no sun, then my leisure battery I won't be able to survive with no sun. But even with the winter, it's still been charging, which is fantastic. It's actually really, really impressive. And I've learned a lot about electric. Okay, so parking. What do I do for parking? Now, this is the biggest thing. Now, I actually pay for parking. I pay on a monthly subscription on an app, which is a car parking space. I prefer to, because I live in a city, everywhere is just like, okay, how are you going to pay for parking? In the evenings, it's fine. It's more during the day. And also in the summer, it was like loads. It was heaving with loads of cars, which makes it more problematic to park. So the way I deal with parking, which is such a big thing, is I pay on a monthly subscription. And before, it was like, oh my goodness, you're parking in one space all the time. But I don't stay there on days on end. Because I work 4 days in the city, that's why I needed to be parked in the city. If I was working remotely, I wouldn't need that car parking space. I'll actually just go on Park for Night or campsites and stuff like that. But it's nice to always have a designated spot to come back to, which is just brilliant. Then I have 2 alternative spaces. So for instance, if I feel that I have a rule of thumb, if I walked into my van and there's someone around me that sees me get into my van and they're not passing by, or they are just staying fixed to a point, I will drive off and I won't return the same night. I will return the following day or 2, depending on what I'm doing, because it's better for me to feel safer that way. So that's what I do for that. And then I try to, when I'm not working in the city, I'll go away. So I like to go away a lot on the weekends. So I have designated spots around, like I would go into like a little bit of a loop of 3 or 4 different spots where I feel comfortable with. I found one spot on Park for Night, the other spot I just drove until where I could feel comfortable being. There's also, maybe I'll go on a trip, like I've been to Snowdonia, I've been to Peak District, I've been to Hinge, or I'll go to a campsite, which I have my favorite campsite, which is only £12.50 a night, where you can do laundry and stuff as well. So for me, it's definitely travel on the weekends. During the week, I also try to go to my van later at night, because I'm lucky. So my setup is I have a co-working space. I have a co-working space where I get 24-hour access, because I'm building my business whilst I'm working in the city as well. So for me, I'm always working late anyway, and this just gives me, this is a great space for me to work from, and this is how I've been able to manage my electricity too. So washing, where do I wash? So I used to, in the summer, I used to wash from the van. I used to just have a little, water pump in a bottle with a bucket. It was pretty easy with wipe washing. I go, because I'm in the city, I've got access to the gym. So I go to the gym, I go shower in the gym. Friends' houses, friends are very important. Not many times I've had it, but I've had a few times when it's been nice to have a bath at a friend's house or a shower. But it's pretty easy. And to be honest with you, personal hygiene, you get pretty relaxed. I'm not gonna lie, I may be a bit too relaxed with my personal hygiene, but I'm always clean. Toilets, where do I go to toilets? So interesting thing about toilets is that it's weird, your like bowel movement starts to change when you live in a van, because it kind of knows when to go and when not to go. So I don't have a toilet in my van at all. I've only got like a little collapsible pop-up blue seat, which I use in emergencies for number 2s, but I take it out straight away. and number ones is in a bottle. Again, I try to use those only in emergency, or if I'm living, like if I'm stuck in the van type of thing and it's raining, blah blah blah. But it's so easy, it's so comfortable, and I prefer this way of just sanitizing, cleaning, and I don't know, it's this weird organic way of being with yourself. But that's what I usually do. But because I'm in the city, I've got access to loads of toilets, and even when I'm on the road, I'll stop at a garage, or I'll stop at a McDonald's, fast food restaurant, whatever's open, and I'll go there. Laundry's annoying, to be honest, just because I work in the city, therefore I need work clothes all the time, and laundry, it just gets on top of you. I'm not gonna lie, because you're living stealth in the van, you can't really move things around a lot. You can't, like, you are limited to what you can do, and also where to go. So there is laundromats that I go to, but it's frustrating because for me, ideally, like, I can't wait. Next week I'm going to a campsite. I am going to strip my whole van clean, declutter everything. The difference between van life in the city and van life, like when I'm out in the mountains, I love it. I could just get everything out, be free, do what I want. But when I'm in the city, your van gets so messy and you just are in and out all the time. It just becomes a place where you sleep. It's just a functional space, really. It's not really, you're not really living out of it. You're just sleeping out of it. I spend most of my time in the city out the van, either working or going out or doing stuff, because that's the whole idea of being in the van in the first place. I wanted to adventure more and work more. Laundry is easy. Either get a friend or laundromat. Either or works for me. Cooking. So this is the biggest con of van life in the city, and I feel like I've picked up weight because of this. Because I'm not cooking as fresh as I need to. I'm cooking out of a microwave, to be honest, in my co-working space. I don't cook a lot in the van. I tend to eat like ready meals. I tend to have loads of ramen. I try to make fresh ramen, but sometimes it's just too much. I'm, having instant oats. This is the biggest downfall for me, and this is why I'm so happy. I've just bought some I bought more gas, because I for a long time, I've only bought gas twice. Once when I bought my canisters, so I've actually only used 10 canisters in the last 7 months. 10 canisters of gas, butane gas, because it was so expensive to buy at one point. I was so unprepared. I kept on forgetting that I needed to buy gas, and it was just annoying me. So yeah, usually I haven't been eating great. I'm not gonna lie. I really, that's what I miss doing, is cooking in the van, eating healthy, being a lot more healthier than what I am now. It's definitely a challenge, but because I've got my co-working space and I know this is not too long term, it's okay. But what I want to try to do is rather meal prep on the weekends for my week ahead, store healthy foods during the week, and then do it all over again on the weekend. So what we'll do in a normal house is you meal prep. But yeah, I haven't been that organized for a while. It's just a bit difficult because van life is very much, for me, go with the flow. I don't plan a lot, so ideally my cooking situation could have been improved, but I was just lazy. Weather. So this is one thing that is van life connects you straight to the weather. Like, you really feel the weather. When it's cold, it's cold. When it's warm, it's warm. When it's windy, it's windy. When it's rainy, it's rainy. It's like everything just highlights for me. The rain, actually now it becomes a little bit of ASMR, where the rain is everything for me. It's so nice and soundscape. But then there's a leak in the van, and that sucks. When it's been -3, sleeping in -3, for instance, having good, like, winter van life has been real. I'll do a whole video about my winter van life experience, but having the correct bedding is important. Materials are important. Definitely having problem solving skills is important by living in a micro camper. And I would say as well, because it's a micro camper and you're always like bending and stuff, keeping active is a must. You need to stretch, you need to move, you need to work out, you need a lot of strength and flexibility by living in a micro camper, in my opinion. And that's maybe because I'm older, because I'm 32, but it is what it is. But yeah, the weather can really affect your van, which I'm in the summer I was like, I need to get out of here, it's too warm. In the winter I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so cold. It's definitely extremes, but having the right bedding is important. I've got a nice fleece blanket which just keeps me nice and toasty. I also have a gown, and I wear quite a lot of jumpers and stuff, so I know I can sleep in -3 with no heat, and I'll survive. Okay, so this brings me on to heating. So heating, at the moment I'm busy. I drive for about 10 minutes to 20 minutes to heat the van if it's really, really cold. I warm myself with blankets, and I've got my diesel heater when it is working. But in a city, sometimes putting the diesel heater on is not sufficient because of the noise it makes. So there has to be alternatives. This has been proving very difficult in the winter, being in the city. If I wasn't in, like, when I'm on the weekends and I'm away, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? You're on a weekend somewhere remote, it's absolutely fine. And sleeping in a micro camper alone is really, for me, the most natural thing I've ever done. Like, I feel like at home. I feel like it's no different to a home, to be honest. I just have the freedom to move my home. Then the massive thing about being in a micro camper in the city is being able to escape away from the city, like get out. That's the most rewarding bit about living in a micro camper van full time in the city, is that you get to escape the city. Like, I get city fever, and I hate being in the city for too long. Like, if I'm in the city for 2 weeks straight, it's time for me to get out. So for someone like me, it's perfect to always just jump in my micro camper and leave. And living out of a micro camper is far more practical than what I would have thought. Like, I must admit, I would struggle being full-time in the van if it was anything smaller than a Vauxhall Vivaro. I feel like I made the perfect first van by bull. I've learned a lot. It's been a good testing van. I would love a high top eventually, but for now it's great. I also opt for a solar panel on my roof rather than having a pop-up top. I still stand by that. I don't want a pop-up top. I'd rather have a high top, because living in a micro camper, you can park anywhere. It's easy to drive. It's really easy to drive and park, especially the small town roads I've been down. It's been insane. So yeah, I feel like those are the points I wanted to talk about by living in my van. If you have any questions that I've maybe and have not covered, please let me know in the description below. And okay, so the one thing I would say is diesel. Diesel is super cheap for me as well. It's not that much. Like, I've spent 50 to maybe 150, 200 pounds in a month on diesel, depending on how much I drove. I think maybe even 150 would be the max. It's really it's like you get to do what you can do on your budget. So if I would say the best way to live in a micro camper van is by planning your budget out. That definitely helped me in the beginning, especially with van building. And that's what I'm doing now as well within my month, is making sure you got a good mechanic, making sure you do your due diligence, making sure that you have enough money for emergency situations, making sure that you have AA cover, make sure that you've got backup spaces to be in if your parking space was taken or whatever the case might be. It's just about being prepared, but also having the freedom to be flexible. That's what I found. And also just like embracing it for what it is. I would say living in a micro camper van full time would be easier in the UK if I wasn't fixed to the city. But I will say as well, with going to different places outside the city, you also have to do your due diligence. Like, I am very picky to where I am. I always want to feel comfortable. And I feel like once you have found your comfortable spots, I just circle between like 4 to 5 of them and just keep those spots to yourself, really. That's the best way to do it. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.